All right, welcome, WHAP students. This is your Unit 2 test study guide right here. Obviously, this entire unit focused over the Indian Ocean trade, which is why I have a backdrop of the Indian Ocean trade here for your picture. It shows you even some monsoon uh, dates because the monsoon winds were so important, of course, right? So, might not be a bad idea to visualize what you see in front of you. All right, let's jump into it, guys. So in the Indian Ocean trade, the big dogs were really India and China. But we know that Eastern Africa here, you can see, played a large role, and the Spice Islands, modern day Indonesia here. These were hugely important because of their very, very, very valuable spices there. Remember that things like nutmeg, an ounce of nutmeg was the same value as an ounce of gold. So that's pretty incredible. But the Chinese and Muslims were the technological masters in this time period who gave us inventions such as the compass and the astrolabe, the very important Latin cell, a triangle cell that helped you sail against the wind. So make sure you know those items. Also, here during this time period in Africa, excuse me, you need to understand that they didn't have written history. Their history was passed down through storytellers known as griots, and griots would speak the history of their people, and they would train the next generation of griots. They would take a master griot would take an apprentice under their wing and teach. They had these fantastic memories, and they would teach them their people's history. So griots, Griot, griot. You have to know that. Angkor Wat is a place in Southeast Asia over here in modern day Thailand, Myanmar area here. And they had awesome temples, fantastic temples. But really, Angkor Wat showed how big of a mixture there was of religions in the area. Showed the influence of Hinduism and Buddhism that had made it into the area. And we know that Islam's going to have a huge impact in that area as well. Let's move in just a little bit here for the Mongols. Mongols extended something known as long distance trading because they have that enormous empire, of course. And they help long distance trading because they keep the trade networks safe. We know that the Mongols were very cruel to any highwaymen or bandits that were trying to disrupt trade. So trade flowed very well when the Mongols were in control for their 100 and so years. Unfortunately, that also helped the Black Death, which started in China out here, make its way very quickly and very efficiently all the way through here to the Islam and even into Europe, where it wreaked a lot of devastation. So good with the bad there. Um, the Mongols were great at adapting inventions from places they conquered. They weren't a real inventive people themselves, but they knew a good thing when they saw it. And so, they're going to take the administration prowess of the people of Persia, and they would sprinkle them throughout their enormous empire, and they would have them running the show in places. Any kind of technologies that they discovered from the Chinese, they put to good use, of course. Um, and really, they helped connect China and Islam. There's sort of a dead space between them a little bit. The Silk Roads had kind of dried up just a bit. The Mongols are going to reopen that and really make a strong connection between these two great dynasties and empires here. Did we know that the Mongols are going to take over the Song dynasty, which had, been pushed into the southern corner of China, the Jin, the Jurchen, to the north of them. But the Mongols are going to take them all over, and Kublai Khan, of course, will will rule over China as the Yuan dynasty. So make sure you know that. And poor Genghis, when this enormous empire that he created, when he died, no one else could pick up the mantle and run the whole thing like he did. So the empire broke up into something known as khanates, ruled by a khan, and it broke up into four huge chunks. Still massive empires, just not as massive as what the original Mongol one was. You also had another. It's not here in this picture, but you did have another network of trade. In fact, I'll look up a picture of it real quick for you, just so you can get the visual. This unit was all about trade. The Trans-Saharan Trade Network was also very important. Um, I think this map right here will do just fine for it. maybe even this one. Okay. What happened was that the Muslims, which were a powerhouse, of course, and this is the Islam Middle East area, they figure out that camels do a heck of a lot better job in the Sahara Desert than horses do, and they create this trans-Saharan, across the Sahara, trade network. This empowers Western Africa and places like Mali and Ghana become big dogs, and this becomes the center of gold and ivory trade. It will make Mansa Musa perhaps the richest man who ever lived, and because they are trading, they convert a lot of these people into Muslims. And one day, Mansa Musa will make his famous pilgrimage to Mecca. And along the way, of course, cause great inflation because he passes out so much gold and silver that it inflates the prices and wrecks some economies. He was trying to be a good guy, showing his niceties there, but actually had a negative effect long term. But Trans-Saharan Network, maybe not as valuable as the Indian Ocean Trade Network, but very important and very valuable as well. India, going back to the Indian Ocean trade, India is also in this time period. They give us these new innovations of the decimal and zero. India becomes kind of like the math leader. They've developed these new mathematical innovations, and the Muslims will get their hands on them, and they will call them Hindi numerals. And we'll end up, the Europeans will get those same Indian numerals from the Muslims, and they'll call them Arabic numerals. And so, the impact of India there is quite a bit. This period is all about trade. You see the Muslims trading throughout Africa and in the Indian Ocean trade, and the Muslims, of course, are trading with Europeans. They're everywhere. So this, along with the Sufi missionaries, remember that Sufi were the great Muslim missionaries that were able to convert people. They were very loose, mild mannered, very accepting of a local uh, place's customs and cultures. You had Ibn Battuta, and Ibn Battuta is sort of like the Muslim Marco Polo. He traveled as far, if not further, in roughly the same time period. They're pretty much contemporaries. You can see his great travels here in this picture. And everywhere he's a Qadi, he's a Muslim judge, and he's welcomed everywhere he goes as being basically this expert on, this expert on Muslim law, and it really shows you the great unity of Dar al Islam. This enormous area where people were connected by religion, by the Muslim religion, even though they're politically separate, they're religiously united behind Islam. So good things for Ibn Battuta there. And he's of course keeping a very detailed diary. He's writing about the places that he visits, so it gives us a nice historical record when it comes down to studying in this time period. And Muslims had this huge trade footprint in Southeast Asia, Indonesia, Spice Islands, like we was talking about. They had the Trans-Saharan Network, and of course, remember the monsoon winds and how they dominated. Once they figured out the wind patterns, trade just really flourished and became so much easier in this enormously wealthy area. Guys, that's it. I mean, that's what this unit is all about. It's about trade, not a whole lot of people's names that you're going to have to know. That's helpful. Um, if you study this, if you get a week of study in, I think that you can be real successful on this exam if you give it some effort. Okay. Thank you guys, and I will see you in class.